What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to our channel. So my name is Eric, you're watching Meadow Green Homesteading, and in today's video I have a lot of chores we need to get caught up on. I've really been kind of procrastinating on getting some of these chores done because it's just been so hot and dry here in East Tennessee the last 3 to 4 weeks. But there is no cool weather and no rain in sight, so we're going to try and get everything caught up today. The first thing that we're going to be working on is actually this water line that you see right behind me. This water line is connected to the rainwater collection system at our barn, and it ran originally down here to the pig's watering can. That way when we wanted to fill it, all we had to do is just flip the valve that's right in front of me. But ever since we've moved the pigs to their new paddock, I've yet to extend this line back down to the watering can's new location. I am going to do that today, and I'm going to show you exactly how I tie in and keep this water line and the rainwater collection system just a little bit flexible. The other thing that we're going to be working on is we need to get the pigs some more feed. So I figured this is a good opportunity to show everybody exactly what we're feeding our 3 Berkshire pigs, exactly what we mix for the cornmeal and the minerals, and how I get it from the barn over to their feeder. Once we're done that, I have one more thing that I need to complete outside today. Our chickens need to make a U-turn in the pasture and head back north. And one of the things that we've been putting off is actually clipping and mowing the grass that is in the area where they need to turn around to, if that makes sense. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean and exactly why we've been procrastinating against that. So I'll do a little bit of an update on our pastures and what's going on there. So stick around, hang out with me. Let's get some chores done today. All right, so this is the valve that's actually hooked up to the watering can in their previous location. And what we do is bring this to the hole in the watering can, and then from the inside the can we feed this guy through, thread him on, and it just kind of holds this in place on the wall of the watering can. So we're going to take this off, and then we have a whole mess of connections right here. This is kind of elaborate, but I'll explain exactly why we have so many fittings on this connection. The first thing is I don't want to change anything on this hose, so when it comes time to move them back into this paddock, all I have to do is just take this off, put this up to the watering can, screw this back on, and I'm done. This connection right here, we have a galvanized 3/4 MBT nipple, and we will be replacing this galvanized one with a plastic one. This right here is a straight union fitting with a gasket. And the reason we're using this is because when you tie 2 water lines together, if you're screwing them into one another, you're going to end up twisting one or the other of those water lines, and I don't want to do that. So by using one of these unions that have the gasket on it, you can just have a nice straight fitting. The collar is what turns, then you get your nice connection right there. We do have a bit of a mess going on in here, and the only reason that there's so many fittings right here is because I was kind of in a rush to do this, and they didn't have the right fittings down at Lowe's. So you can get a 3/4 MPT to 3/4 barb, but they didn't have any, so I'm going from a 3/4 MPT to a slip fit and then back to a slip barb. It's just what I have to do in this case. This is going to go into this black poly hose like so, and then we're going to put a worm clamp around here to seal everything up. We're going to run the poly line down a couple T-posts to the new location of the watering can, and I'm going to show you exactly how we tie in there. The T-posts are just something that I can hang the poly line on to keep it up off the ground. I'm going to go and put PTFE tape on all the threaded fitting connections. These slip fit connections, in this case, I'm not going to glue. If they leak, I can glue them up at a later time, but I don't think they're going to, since there's no pump pressure or anything coming out of the rainwater collection system. It's just a gravity feed. So let's go ahead, tape up all these connections. We'll get everything put together, and then we'll connect it to their rainwater barrel, and we'll probably give them a little bit of a bath. It's hot today and it's really dry. All right, so the way that we disconnect this when it's time to move them is actually just spin this union collar right here, and then the poly line that goes down to their new paddock disconnects just like that. So you notice that this spins, not the poly line, nothing gets twisted up. As I was putting this together, I actually was thinking about what if I put this collar or put another half of a union mounted as a bulkhead onto the watering can. That way I just have to make a connection here and never have to unthread this. So probably something I'll think about and probably do in the next couple weeks. It seems a lot cleaner and a lot easier. Let's go ahead, get our T-post in the ground, get the water line connected. All right, so we have our water line all run. Fittings are all on, everything's taped, nice and good. We do have a drip on the bottom right here. The way to fix that is I'm gonna have to glue this connection right here together. So I'll come back through off camera and do that, but I think we're all set. Let's turn the valve on and see if we have water. Perfect. Where are the piggies? There they are. You guys want a bath? All right, so I think we got you guys all cooled down. I think they were pretty hot. Oh, Loretta. This is what pigs do, just in case you're in the same situation, no matter what you do, unless it's on a piece of concrete or something like that. They find a way to get the water out of the nipple and make themselves a wallow. I know in one of our last videos I said that we were having a really hard time with them stepping in the food and pulling all the food out. And I think I fixed it, so check it out. So as you can see, there's a little bit of food down here that they pulled out this morning, and it's probably my fault, and I'll throw a picture up and explain kind of why they probably went crazy over food this morning. Their food situation was pretty exhausted, and I did that intentionally. I wanted them to clean out all the old food that was in there. It's time for me to refill this, and I didn't want old food to get covered up. So when I came up this morning, they had pretty much just thrown this over the fence line and said, hey, we're out of food. So let's go up to the barn. We're gonna go ahead and mix up some food, throw it in the tractor, and get it on down here. Yeah, I came back over the fence line. I'm not trying to be in there with you guys, all muddy. I know what you do. This is how I come back home with my legs covered in mud. All right, so we're up here in the barn, and we had to temporarily evict somebody from the tractor who's made a little home in there. Hopefully she comes back because we need the tractor. We gotta get the bucket on the tractor real quick. I like to mix the cornmeal that we use and the mineral that we use in the bucket of the tractor. So I portion everything out, mix it in the bucket either by hand or with a shovel, and then I drive it down to the feeder. The feed that we're using right now is from a local feed mill. We use straight cornmeal. This cornmeal, I believe, is 7%. 8%. So we have 8% protein cornmeal. We were mixing the cornmeal with soy. So we were buying from the same supplier, corn and soy mix. But one of the things I've noticed lately is the pigs getting a little up there. So we decided to cut down on the amount of protein and just give them the cornmeal and the mineral. For the mineral, I am using this stuff right here. So this is just a bag of Redmond mineral salt. It's got a bunch of trace minerals in it. And I mix this 1%. So for every 100 pounds of cornmeal that we put in the bucket, I'm putting 1 pound of this. It just so happens that if I take this scoop right here, or we have a green one and it works exactly the same, and I fill up to this line right here, that is exactly 1 pound as I've weighed it out. So works out pretty good. I don't need to keep bringing the scale up here. So let's go ahead. We'll take the tractor out of here. It's got the forks on it now. Let's get the bucket on it, start mixing some food, and go feed the little piggers. Yeah, so whatever I spill, they clean up pretty quick, but we gotta do this about 3 or 4 times. This feeder holds 450 pounds, so I think another 3 or 4 times of bucket full and we should be good to go. All right, so this area right here, the field, is a great example of what we're working with. So here's the method to my madness. Right here we have rye. We've waited all spring and into the summer for that free rye seed. So what I'm doing is I'm coming through here with the brush hog at about seed height, and I'm clipping and broadcasting all this seed. So throwing all this rye seed out into the field. Along with the rye seed, we also have all this Johnson grass right here that has gone to seed. So we're broadcasting that as well. Some of the other things that we have growing in this field is plantain, which I kind of consider a weed, but cattle will eat it. And what it's doing right now is actually keeping the ground covered and keeping the soil from drying out. So I guess it's not that bad of a thing. We have some red clover growing in our pastures, which is great. We have white clover, we have crimson clover, and down under here on the bottom layer, these little brown nodules right here, this is actually what's called hop clover. Now, I thought hop clover was actually a weed, but we had somebody come over a couple weeks ago and he kind of explained to us what we had growing in our pastures. So there are things like daisies and onions and garlic and that kind of stuff growing in our pastures, but the plantain, cows like. Hop clover, cows love. We have jewelweed that's growing, which is amazing for cows. It's high protein, it's a legume. We have a lot of Johnson grass, we have a lot of ryegrass, we have fescue. We have a lot of things in these pastures that cows actually eat. So in the last video I talked a little bit about the push for us to get cattle, and that's pretty much why, is because I want to get cattle on these pastures and just start letting them graze and rejuvenate the pastures rather than spending the money on equipment or paying somebody to come in here and completely disc and reseed these pastures. I'm not so sure anymore, the more that I do research and talk to people, that it's warranted. So we're going to spread the seed. He's going to be coming back in the spring with a tractor and a disc, and we're going to lightly disc this pasture and really just push this seed into the ground that I'm broadcasting today. And I think next season we're gonna have some amazing turnout in these pastures. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna finish mowing what I have to mow for today, broadcast this seed. It already took me a little bit because, like with everything else, when I go to shoot a video, a million things come up. The tractor wanted to regen, my camera overheated and shut down, so it's always something when I try to shoot a video. But I think we're through everything now. We're gonna mow a couple more strips for the chickens and then we'll go from there. Well, another busy day in the books. Oh yeah? So I got one more job to do, and that's move the chickens, make sure they have food and water, and then I'm done for today. So I'm really happy we got some of these chores done. But if you're with us so far and you stuck around to this point, hit that like button. We really appreciate it. And if you want to watch our homestead grow, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you along. Until next time, we hope you have a great day. Yeah? Do you want them to come along too?